They usually acquire property through the tax foreclosure process. Here are some of the things that land banks can do with properties they have. Demolition. Land banks make neighborhoods safer by destroying abandoned buildings. The cleared land can be used by next-door neighbors for gardens or space for children to play. Deconstruction. This is the same as demolition, except the abandoned building is taken apart piece by piece and recycled. This is really important because currently 1/3 of our cities are ending up in landfills. Housing. Land banks can rehabilitate old homes or build new ones to provide quality, affordable housing in the community. Commercial development. A land bank can sell property to developers or business owners, generating new economic activity. Community improvement. Land banks can use land they have to build new roads, develop recreational space, and manage environmental cleanup. Michigan's land banks are a powerful solution to foreclosed and abandoned property. Land banks have empowered communities to turn growing problems into solutions that benefit everyone and improve our neighborhoods.
Our next stop is right here in Flint, Michigan, where the Genesee County Land Bank has partnered with Mott Community College to deconstruct the house owned by the land bank.
This is a workforce development project sponsored by Mott College. And what we're doing here is we're teaching a segment on deconstruction.
Instead of demolition, where they have a bulldozer and all that come in and just demolish the house, we're tearing it down by hand, piece by piece.
Putting 1/3 of the mass of our greatest cities in a hole in the ground makes no sense. To keep doing things the way we've done them in the past is not a good excuse anymore. We've got to try to figure a better way forward.
Virtually 80 to 90% of a house can be recycled. Land Bank donated the house to us and gave us the opportunity to have this as a training exercise.
Genesee County was the first land bank in Michigan under legislation that was passed in the early part of this past decade. And we've become kind of a model for other land banks, both in Michigan and around the country. Land banks were created as a way of dealing with tax foreclosed properties. The law changed in around 2000 to allow counties to be the foreclosing governmental unit. The deconstruction project that we're working on today with Mott Community College is a class that's being run by the Detroit Architectural Warehouse.
But it's a good experience.
The best experience as far as on-job training that I ever had.
It's a pretty good program.
Because it's jobs. The quota from regular demolition to deconstruction is 7-to-1 on the employment factor. We could have unemployed workers hired, brought in, and trained in deconstruction, and they could be taking down all the thousands of houses that are left blighted, abandoned, and destroying the neighborhood.
With deconstruction, you can recycle more items. It's an extra source of income for cities like ours in Flint. You know, we're economically distressed and depressed. So this is another way to generate income by refurbishing usable materials. It's doable, and plus it helps beautify the city. Getting rid of blighted properties such as these reduces it from being hazards, crime scenes for drugs, and all kind of other things that go on to keep our kids safe.
I can provide a link for it if you want to finish watching it, but I think you get the picture. We're not using our land right. We're not using it to our advantage. We're not doing what we need to do in Memphis to make Memphis the best.
We're here in the Carriagetown Antique Center, a small business that is actually a land bank project. And small business is really important to the vitality of American cities and cities.
Small business. Let's move on. Let me move to the next slide. For the sake of time. What we're doing today is we're trying to bring this back local. We're trying to get our leaders in this city to understand how to make it better for everybody, not just somebody or one body, but everybody. So what we're trying to do is get the city of Memphis to give Diamonds Incorporated Graves Road Elementary School, the former site. It looks like that, and that was taken by me in October of 2014. That's an eyesore in my community. That's taking my property values down. That's taking my neighbor's property values down. He lives right across the street from that. When he looks out his front window, he looks at the back side of that building, and even though there's not boards on the back side because they're bars or iron, who wants to see that in their community? We certainly don't. 10.1890 acres zoned R10. Now there's your catch, the zoning. Because what I need to do to make this a $500,000 enterprise requires rezoning. But it's not that difficult. It's just a matter of saying, yes, okay. The warranty deed for this property was signed on the 11th day of September, 1972 by and between the now defunct Board of Education for the City of Memphis Schools. They don't exist anymore. And the City of Memphis. So that means the building has no true owner. Because the city gave it to the Board of Education. The Board of Education don't exist no more. Okay, catch number one. Can you go to the next slide for me? For $1, that's what it transferred for. And this will be in your packet. It's right there. 1 and 00 over 100 or $1.00. And next slide, please. The land is appraised at $100. 10.1890 acres appraised at $100. And I'm not going to tell you they want me to rent it, to lease it with no AC. That's right. The ceiling is leaking, and they want me to pay them $20,000 a month lease. Okay? The building currently sits empty. Next slide, please. When it could be repurposed into a self-sustaining, multifunctional, person-centered, planned, resource, and community-centered pilot. They're giving pilots to everybody else. That would add value to the area surrounding it based on the needs of its current community. This can be done in everybody's neighborhood. Right here, we got housing. Right here, we got preschool. We got the museum, of which we've got 1935 to the current day, Clyde Vincent sitting here in the back. Right here, we've got a cafeteria, and right here, we want administration. These buildings, A, B, F, C, and I can't tell you how much black folks like to eat. I can't tell you how much revenue a good restaurant bring in Whitehaven. We got Graceland folks, we got our folks, we got other folks. Next slide. In a nutshell, you say, Yvonne, that ain't possible. How can you do that? Number one, I've created a new term. I Googled this word, entrepreneurship. We all know what entrepreneurship is. We don't have entrepreneurship at Diamonds. We have entrepreneur shops. We're going to go down in history in Memphis creating the word entrepreneur shops. What are entrepreneur shops? They are 9 classrooms, businesses that will be broken down off of the front lobby here for individuals to start their own businesses with rent as low as $250 up to $1,000 a month. Now, if you're in business, you ought to be able to make it if your rent ain't but $250 to $1,000 a month. If you're serious about being business. We want a beauty shop and a barber shop where every child in the neighborhood gotta come and get their hair done for free. I don't care if you ain't got a penny. And Minister Cobb will tell you when you come to her church, she may not ask you for more than a penny. I ain't never seen a woman do that, nor a man, in any church I've been in. Amen? Amen. We got to take back our communities. We got to stop being up here and making everybody else seem like they down here, because we all right here. And until we start acting like that, it's going to constantly be a divide. But look at the numbers. And I can't tell you how much income we can make from a restaurant. We ain't going to make no money from the administration building. But then again, we might. Because we might have an inbound call center that's answering the phone for some of these businesses. And we're training the people how to answer the phone. Customer service is lacking in America. What's wrong? If you did the baby not say on the video, it's a reason why I'm putting this all together. And I've been crying and having headaches from tears of joy because I didn't realize what God was doing with me while all of this was going on. In 2007, and the baby said, if I had a bad day, I got to shake that off. And I still got to do things and smile. My cousin Liz, Elizabeth Reeves, she told me, she said, you don't ever meet a stranger, do you? I said, no, ma'am. And I don't even come from a city that say ma'am and sir. No, ma'am. I think everybody is a good person until they show me otherwise. $573,530,000, I can guarantee you, I can show you I can make if I can get this building rezoned. That's providing jobs, it's providing education, it's providing training, it's providing a multitude of other things, including housing, food. The baby wants a garden put over in here so that we can stop eating all of this canned stuff, glory greens that I buy because I don't know how to cook them. I got to go ask him, Daddy, cook me some greens. We can go pick them. We can grow them. This is what our ancestors did. That's why they didn't have diabetes. And that's why we do. This is a man-made disease, people. We got to wake up and we got to do better. Next slide, please. Is there any questions on that slide before I move forward with the money? Because the money is there. I've worked the numbers and I've worked them, and I know I can make more than that. So I'm being modest when I say that.
Well, concerning the eating that you were saying about the fresh vegetables, look at Chicago, where Chicago hoods or whatever you want to call it. In Texas, we call them the slums, but I don't know if they're, the people there finally got together and went against the city and got a spot where they grow their vegetables, they produce them, they sell them at the health food stores. Now Kroger has them, the big HB chains in Texas, which is one of the biggest chains, grocery chains and all that. Everywhere you see Glory, that Glory product, it is by people from the hood that grow their vegetables, they can them there, and they're making money and they have jobs.
They sure make money off of me.
Glory.
And thank you, Molly, because that's what we're talking about.
I know. And
that's what we
events
need
and
to do.
everything.
And for the ones of us that can't do it, that's what we got them for. This is my board. I'm not the board. This is my board. This is my future.
You can always have somebody else. You can always have somebody else. And concerning those $20,000, your neighborhood, everybody has to get involved to be able to get those $20,000 and knock it off to where you can get it for $1. They did it down in South Texas where I come from. And also, you know, it's not only the leaders like you all to get a neighborhood together, you got to get the parents involved, not to be afraid. And all this big corporation building all this new homes and oh, it's going to be a beautiful mall and it's going to have this and it's going to have that, and that's where they're going. And you all are staying behind, and that's why all them shops are coming. When I came here first in 1998, Southland Mall was it, and then Hickory Hill was next. I come back in the year 2012, and all this is just crimes, and that's all. And the neighborhood has to take their neighborhood back. They have to. You have to go house by house and get parents involved and get your places back.
That's what we're talking about. That's exactly what we're talking about. And we're talking about all of that and 24-hour security. Fenced lots featuring earth-friendly picnic areas, walking trails, and a garden. Parking areas off of the street. Staffed resource centers after hours. For Mr. Kenny Lee, who gonna clean up his act. We gonna have a recording studio. No more Crystal Palace. You know what I'm talking about. And we got our entrepreneur shops. We got our entrepreneur shops for the small business owner. We got the separate beauty and barber supply. We gonna have people taking stuff out, groceries, grocery delivery. If you could just call somebody and say, pick me up a pack of bologna from and I'll pay you when you get here, I would do it, because I don't feel like it. But these babies need a job. It's up to us to create them. We got the free gift shop in the mini museum. And if you get Mr. Vincent involved, you got a guided tour that you can pay for, bring your church group, bring your kids, bring your community out, nice place to visit. And then you got a cafeteria where you can eat. And then you ain't got to go up to, what is it, Liz? Casey Jones? Casey Jones?
Yeah, been taking down and Thurber Glamours.
I love me
Well,
some
you know
hot roll
that-
biscuits.
That delivery of groceries
Yeah.
in Austin, they started it there. South Texas now, which just thought about H-E-B, and you used to go to H-E-B is one of the biggest stores. You got everything. It's just beautiful grocery store. I don't think you'll ever get one. I wish they'd come into here. But they deliver. You call them. They
Yes.
deliver. You tell them what, you look at a special. They mail you a special. You order it. They deliver it. 24 hours a day. And also they have it, now they have it in Dallas. And they have it in, I started with Austin. And it's wonderful. You just tell them what you want. You don't even have to worry going to the grocery store and finding a parking lot or going to Walmart, because Walmart's taking everything.
Absolutely.
And it's time y'all took it up and somebody has to have and invest in a grocery store at your neighborhood where you don't have to go to Walmart.
Right.
Walmart
Right.
never got through of making money.
They're not going to. We keep going there. Next slide, please. So, at this time, now, Colonel Kirkwood was going to introduce me this morning, but there was a retired police officer that was laid to rest today, and he and a lot of the officers are paying their last respects, and I know some other people had funerals today, Reverend P. And I can't thank you enough for being here, but what I'd like to do at this time, and in this order, is ask Attorney Shepherd to come up and say a few minutes about what he remembers, and following him, Minister Cobb come up and talking about cleaning up your community, because the baby was talking about cleaning up your community. See, we got to clean up our community. We got to take back our communities. It's got to be a joint effort. So I'm going to sit down and turn the floor over to Attorney Shepherd. Okay, come on up. All right. And then Mr. Kyle.
This is sad, happy, depressing, exciting, everything all rolled into one. Mickey, it's so good to see you again. I met you and Becky in 1969 when I moved my membership from the Barton Heights Baptist Church to Trinity Baptist Church on Craft Road. Because at Barton Heights Baptist Church in that year, the deacons voted that if any African Americans were to come to seek membership in that church, they would be turned away at the door and not allowed to worship there, because it was assumed that their purpose would be ulterior to cause trouble rather than to worship God. Now, I was a freshman or a sophomore in college at that time, and I had a little bit of education in here, and I knew that that was not the Christian way of things. So I found Trinity, Becky's church, and Mickey's church, and so much more on Craft Road. I had a history of Whitehaven, even though I lived on those little outskirts in 38109 in Barton Heights. I still went to grade school. And when I stood on the corner of Brooks Road and Meadowbrook Road to catch my school bus, I had to watch a parade of African American students walking to their gray wooden schoolhouse on Brooks Road, which was on the way to Graves. And books they carried under their arms were ragged. Most of them didn't even have backs on them. So that's how old I am. I won't say any more about my history. But I do want to say a little bit about Graves School, because I was there in the 3rd grade through the 8th grade. And I was privileged to meet Ms. McCorkle, who was a retired school teacher when I was just a little boy. She had placed a very expensive art collection of hers on exhibit in the main hall of Graves School. So at an early age, we were exposed to art. One of the questions on an achievement test that I remember taking was, who painted Whistler's mother? Tell me how many African American students could have answered that question correctly in the 5th or 6th grade or 7th grade at that time in history, with no neighborhood exposure to that kind of art. It wouldn't have happened, it couldn't have happened, and it still isn't happening. And so the test scores are totally false, because they're based on a false premise that people know things they've never been exposed to. How could they know? And so we need to have places for our young people to go where they can be exposed. The Performing Arts Center, what a wonderful thing. C.H. Harrell, who was the principal at Graves Road Elementary School when I was attending there, lived in Collierville, and his wife was the secretary at Graves. The Performing Arts Center today in Collierville High School, the brand new multi-million-dollar building, was named after him. It's called the C.H. Harrell Center for the Performing Arts. Now, Mr. Harrell was one of those principals who had a paddle with holes in it. But let me tell you something, he seldom had to use it. If he caught 2 boys in a fight, he had boxing gloves, and he put them on their hands and put them up on the stage in the cafeteria, so that while we ate our lunch in the very building she's talking about making into a cafeteria, we could watch the kids duke it out with gloves. And I refereed a lot of those fights. You know, every time the kids that had gotten into the fight came out French when it was all over, because they had an audience of supporters, and it became a game, pardon my Freudian slip, became a game rather than a fight. He had some good ideas, even though his disciplinary measures might be far outdated in our day and time. But I just want to share a couple more quick things with you from Graves School. I went through my old photographs, and this is me while I was a student at Graves in about the 7th grade. I had some hair. And when I lost up here, I gave here. Anyway, that's enough of that. When I was in the 3rd grade at Graves School, a schoolmate of mine named Frank Thomas, and this is him. This is he, I'm an English teacher. Frank Thomas, January 1960. It was several years before that when I was in the 3rd grade. So I was in the 7th or 8th grade by then. But Frank caught a frog on the recess ground there at Graves, long about right here. And he took that little green frog and put it down my back. And this was right after my half-Cherokee Indian grandmother, Susie Shepherd, told me that tree frogs were poison, and that if you played with a toad frog, you'd get warts. So I was scared to death. And I showed it. So from the 3rd grade through the 8th grade, I could not get a girlfriend because all the girlfriends looked upon me as being a coward because I was afraid of a frog. But nobody ever tried to put one down their back or they would understand where I was coming from. So that's one of my early memories from Graves Road School. Miss Gowan was my 3rd grade teacher. She got pregnant. She was in line in the cafeteria ahead of me one day for lunch. I said, Miss Gowan, you sure are getting fat. She said, Billy, that's not nice. She didn't explain to me that she was great with child. But that's where what you're talking about, ed training comes in. I could have used a little of it at that time. I don't think I was expected to know that much of it. All right, next thing, 4th grade, Miss Gandy was my teacher. I fractured my wrist on the sidewalk outside Martin Heights Baptist Church. And she still made me do my book report by writing it in chalk on the chalkboard with my left hand. And we had to read a book every 6 weeks. And it was recorded. It was the name of the book we wrote and the author, and kept with our permanent record. They don't do stuff like that anymore. They encourage you to read, but they don't follow to see if you did. I know because I'm not just a lawyer, I was a school teacher for 30-something years too. Started at Carver High School in 1969 when I was 20. All right, ended up at Craigmont last year. 5th grade teacher, Miss Bassett. Her son was my best friend. And so we sat in the back of the classroom and had wonderful conversations with each other while she was trying to teach math. And the only bad conduct mark I ever got was from her. But that was back when they gave you A, B, C, D, or F in conduct and not just satisfactory, unsatisfactory, and so forth. And she gave me a C. So there was my mother the very next day. What's wrong with my boy? What did he do? The poor car is beautiful, except for that big C in conduct that you gave him. But he talks all the time. Why does he talk all the time? Because your son is his best friend. So anyway, that earned me my first bad grade in conduct. Hopefully it was the only one. I didn't look at any others. In 6th grade, I had Miss Gunn for a teacher. I had a terrible upset stomach one day. And Miss Gunn was so sympathetic that she took me to the cafeteria back where the teachers only were allowed to go, and there was a Coke machine there. She bought me a Coca-Cola, and she said, drink this, because the acid in the Coca-Cola will help to soothe your stomach. And sure enough, it was just like a dose of alcohol. And I felt better the rest of the day because I had a teacher that cared enough to bend the rule to help the student. Some of the teachers that I've worked with through the years only wanted their paycheck. And these were the people who should have cared the most about those children. Unfortunately, because there were so many of them, the children often didn't recognize what my real motives were and thought I was just like all the others. 7th grade, Mr. Hurtado taught me science. Mr. Zerhel taught me English and Latin and German. Zerhel is a very German name. We had to learn Silent Night, Holy Night, in German, Stille Nacht, Heilige Nacht, Einzelbach, nur in Australia. Still remember, that's the only time I ever had to sing it in German in my life. 7th grade. Lord's Prayer in Latin, Pater Noster, qui est in Caelis, Sanctificator nomen tuum et veniet regnum tua, fiat voluntas tua sicut in caelo et in terra. I'm not Catholic, where else would I know the Lord's Prayer in Latin? I've been for a German English teacher at grade school in the 7th grade. Things you don't forget because they made sure you learn it. And then in the 8th grade, I had Mrs. Dice, whose husband was a colonel in the Army for English. And she told me that profanity is bad. The only people who use it are people who have a poor vocabulary. That needs to be taught to our children today.
Yes. I love that.
Just as it was taught to me by someone I looked up to at grade school. I had Mr. Simonton for math in the 8th grade. And he later became Wooddale High School's second principal. So, you see, I remember Frank Thomas, I remember all my teachers. Kids today don't even remember their teacher's name when they walk into the classroom each morning to say good morning. That man, that woman told me to shut up. Of course she did, she's the teacher. All right, I'm about through. I'm sorry. Let's see here what else I need to say. Oh yeah, when I was in the 7th grade, they asked me to play the piano for the 8th graders when they marched through the little graduation ceremony, because I had been taking piano lessons for a number of years. And Mr. Zurhelden said, "Do you know any marches?" I said, "Yeah, I know the march from Aida." Now, Aida was an opera. And it must have been a German opera because he was German. He liked it. He said, "Play that while they march in." And I had the sheet music, but the day I was supposed to play, I left my music at home. So I sat down at the piano. I was too scared of Mr. Zurhelden to let him know that I couldn't play it. And I started, and I played the first couple of measures of it by heart, and then I went black. So I just knew that a march was 1, 2, 3, 4, well, you know, and I made it up as I went along. And they marched in, I sat down. I hope he didn't know the march from Aida. Or he would have known that's not what I was playing. But he may have known, because he pulled a slick one on me. At the end of the thing, he came up to me, he said, "Billy," that's what they called me, "go back and play that same march as they marched out." So I think he caught on to the fact that I didn't know my music. All right. School. I'm 66 years old and I still have these memories as though they were yesterday. You gotta lay hold of your moments because they're going to become nothing but memories. And thank the Lord that fate and destiny and God brought me together with Yvonne, because here I am. And this is very meaningful to me. If you can do what you proposed with this building, my memories will be more than memories. Because the knowledge and the wisdom that I got there, whether I wanted it or not, will live on in the redirection of not just the architecture, but the lives of the kids who are there now. Here's me and Joel Anderson. Somebody lassoed us on the playground at grade school. And so they were over the rope around us. He was my best friend in those days. And what else did I find? This is Ms. Wilkie, who was a 6th grade math teacher there. She went to the Bahamas and brought us all back some tropical fruit that I would have never known what a pomegranate or a mango was. It hadn't been for her until I got grown. This is Miss Virginia Gunn, the teacher who gave me the Coca-Cola. So, I wanted to say all that, and I think I've said everything I need to say, except that the grade students were called the Colts, then just as they are now. And while I was there, we established a newspaper, even though we were in a high school, we had a newspaper called the Grade Guidon, G-U-I-D-O-N. So I proposed that we let Yvonne Nelson guide us on to do something with this property. There is light all over Memphis that shouldn't be there. But let's work on this one, please, for the sake of not just me, but countless others who got an excellent education there. I knew more grammar when I got to high school than some of my high school teachers. And it was all thanks to Mr. Zurhelden and Greg for elementary school. Okay? I think I'll quit. Thank you. I'm going to do one more little thing I forgot. When I was in the 3rd grade, and my mama saved this, bless her heart, God rest her soul, to my sweet mom and dad. Cursive, kids can't do that anymore. When I was in the 3rd grade. I don't know what they do when they ask for a signature. Dear Mother, I love you very much. I am very glad to be your son. May I say that I am very sorry when I do wrong, R-O-N-G. Please believe me, because like you say, no one is perfect. Love forever, Billy Shepherd.
Thank you.
My name is Charlotte, and I'm glad to be here. I represent North Memphis. My true code that I work is 38108. I would not be successful in my neighborhood had I not met my mentor, Dr. Yvonne Nelson. My neighborhood, I like to work in Memphis. Memphis to me represents Memphis Teens with a Dream. I have a group of kids where we mentor, empower, motivate, positive, healthy, intelligent, positive strategies for success. That's what Memphis means to me. In meeting Dr. Nelson, I've learned so many things because I did not have a background such as hers. But I'm glad to see my friend back there, girl, Abraham, who has known me since 1985. And it was ironic that she and I met because my former pastor, our pastor, who's deceased, the one and only, the great Bishop Gabriel Patterson, he lived on McCorkle. And I was like, you live on McCorkle? When I met her. But it all goes back to this. We have a slogan that says it takes a village to raise one child. Well, in that village, if a village is over here in Whitehaven, then I need to pull what you're doing over here to bring those resources over to my neighborhood in 3108. I solicit your prayers. I have a house. I'm not going out for school, but I have a house. 2-bedroom house that I'm renovating to start neighborhood programs in my neighborhood. Douglas does not have the surroundings such as what you all have, so you all should really, really be happy and proud that you have the resources around you that you have to work with. My challenge is far greater because, like I said, we do not have, we're just like a little island neighborhood, just 6. But nevertheless, Douglas High School is there. Frederick Douglas, amen. He was a great man, historian. And I'm grateful to be a part of that. But I could not do any of this if I did not have for a mentor, the one and only y'all. She's great. She and I work on the phone 12, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning for weeks, days, and months for her to mentor me and to have to put things together in my neighborhood. So I'm here to support her in any endeavor that she does, and it's going to be great to become a neighbor and a partner with all of you. God bless you.
Thank you.
Look, I want to ask you.
Yeah, come on in. This is Mr. Wyman. Come on in, Mr. Wyman. Come on up here.
Hey,
Mr. Wyman, come on up here, Mr. Wyman. Okay. All right. You want to address this crowd, Mr. Wyman?
I'm glad y'all came to Whitehaven.
But that's pretty much it. That's all we got. Yvonne wants to see everybody on the way out. We do have packets of today's presentation for you. Inside is one of these flyers asking you to help us to start petitions to get the school board to donate the former site of Graves Elementary School to Diamonds Incorporated. Nobody wants to listen to Yvonne unless she comes and she's McCorkle Road, or she's working for the YMCA, but it's still Yvonne doing all of this. Regardless as to whose banner I'm doing it under, it's still me. And it's coming from here. So please, let's start taking back our communities, one community at a time, and let's make a difference in the world. Thank you so much for coming. God bless. Yes, sir.
What is the next follow-up from this meeting?
As you can see, we got no publicity. I've been on TV for everybody and everything, and I'm not complaining about that, Robert, but what I'm going to do is take DVDs from this presentation today. I'm going to give them to everybody from the governor on down, along with packages like what you're going to get today. And when we get enough signatures, and I don't know what enough is, we are going to massively move forward to.
Can you tentatively, like I said, we need to meet next month to see what, focus back on what we have accomplished today.
We'll be in this room the 14th of February from 12 to 3 p.m. And I will have an update at that time. Yes, sir. Thank you, Robert. Any other questions? Thank you so much for coming. Be safe, traveling home. God bless you. Always.